What's up airsofters, my name is Specifics and today we have a very cool video. I'm just going to get right into it. We're going to install our P90 Mosfet. I have the parts laid out right here and well, let's just get into it. What we're going to need is, of course, our parts. We're going to need a couple shims if you have a clone of the Tokyo Marui. Don't mind the damage on this replica. It is a second-hand replica that didn't work when I received it. It works now, but I want to install the Perun P90 Mosfet either way to have a good review on it. So yeah, what we're going to need is Allen key 1, Allen key 2, basically the small one. We're going to need a small flathead screwdriver and a crosshead or a Phillips head screwdriver, and that's basically it. For this replica, the King Arms replica, I needed to adjust some parts. So as you can see, I had to file down these parts to make it fit. I'll show you when we get to it. And we're going to need some shims because the King Arms version has a quick spring change system, which causes a malfunction in the programming board. And I'm going to show you guys a couple other ways to prevent it. So what we're going to do first, we're of course going to remove the mag. This is an empty mag. I had it in for display. We're going to put that to the side and we're going to remove the upper receiver. This won't be needed whatsoever for the install. The rest of it will. Except the back cover. For now we're going to remove the back cover, which slits out like that. You should probably know because, well, you've probably tried to put a battery in. Then we are going to remove the back plate. You screw these screws loose. I am already having them loose because mine are actually broken. Also not my fault, I bought it second-hand. Going to put that to the side. Going to display these in 3 stages: trigger board or programming board, trigger board and Mosfet. Basically what you can do is just slide out the gearbox like so, and it comes out. What we're going to do first is we're going to put this to the side and work on the gearbox. So what you want to do is remove all the wiring. I have removed my contacts here, but it remains the same. Basically you remove the wires from the gearbox. Make sure you don't break or bend them. Take them off. Make sure all wires are loose from the gearbox except for at the trigger. Then you're going to get your Phillips head screwdriver type 2. I am using a type 1 because I'm stupid, but use a type 2. Take out your screws and put them aside for a second. You want to put this to the side, so keep it in storage. You won't be needing it anymore once you install the Mosfet, but if in case it breaks or maybe you'll take on some other replica, keep it there and store it. Now you're going to install back the longest to the left and the smallest to the right. You have screws that come with it. If you want to use those, look up in your manual to see which those are and where to put them. Now we have that last screw uninstalled. Now we're going to uninstall the cutoff lever, which is done by removing this screw right here. Put that small screw to the side because you are going to need that. Now don't rip out your cutoff lever directly. Flip it out of the screw pin and try to get it out as careful as possible with the spring that comes with it still there. If you lose the spring, you have a problem because that means that you can't have a functional cutoff lever anymore, and then your replica will fire in full auto all the time, and you don't want that. So put those two parts to the side, the screw and the spring, and then you're going to install their new polymer cutoff lever. With the screw bit, there's a little screw here. You're going to put that on the outside. The other hook thing is going into the gearbox. You install it the same way as you did before, but you're going to install a shim. It's basically a little ring on it, so it will be steady, because the King Arms version has a higher post. Now, once you've done that, you can install the spring. Don't take your Mosfet already. You can install the spring. Now here's where the flathead screwdriver comes into play. You're going to install the flathead screwdriver on your thingy, or just take a normal screwdriver. You're gonna stick it about 3 turns from the spring. You're basically going to stick it in halfway. You're going to try to push it in without losing it. That should do it. Now we're going to take our Mosfet, our main board, and we're going to slide it in. Basically you have a little circular dent in here that is going to slide over the axle of your gears on the outside. None of these Mosfets are on the inside. We're all going to install them on the inside. Now you take your gearbox screw, you screw it into the screw hole right under the letters main board. And I do recommend using the screws that come with the package, because that means you'll lock it on the bottom here, which now is not the case. This part of the gearbox doesn't have a screw part, so that means that your gearbox won't be secure over here. Now you're going to take your black wire, install it into either the black wire hole or the blank one. You're going to take your red wire, you're going to insert it onto the red post on your motor, the same way that you took out the old posts. So yeah, and that's basically all for the gearbox. We're going to put that to the side now. Oh wait, no, I am doing something wrong. We still need to install the wires. So I believe they're both the same size, but take the longest one for the front if you have different ones. I don't believe you do. Install them properly, be careful. If there's a very snug, hold on tight to both parts. Just carefully push them in. Without breaking the actual board contact, because that happened to me with the AUG. Now you have all your wires installed. Now you can put it to the side. Now we're going to take out our main body of the P90, and we're going to take out this bar. This is the trigger bar. You see it moving with the whole thing. That's going to be taken out. Flip this out, take that out, and the other part, and they should come right out. Now it won't go out the front, so it will go out the back. Just drop it. It will drop straight down, and there's your trigger bar. You won't be needing this anymore. You can put that aside with the wiring. And now we're going to install this part. This part has been filed down for the King Arms version. Why? Because it's too big for the King Arms version, because no, Perun did not mess up. King Arms did. King Arms decided to put 2 posts in here that are parts of these screws. These fake screws that don't have any meaning. So I'd rather file down the Perun part to make it fit than file down my body. What you're gonna do is you're gonna put it to that wall. You're gonna stick it right in. Should click right in there. And now we're going to install this board with this screw. We're going to do that for both sides. The support board will be with the slit on the outside or the inside and shoved under this plastic bit. And just like that, your main board or your support board has been installed. Now we don't want to put this back in because we're going to install the gearbox first. This is probably the hardest part of installing this gearbox. I'm going to flip it under here. Flip it under here because our trigger board is also on the right side. We don't want it to obstruct our hop-up or any sorts of part like that. So we're gonna have to try again and again and again until it fits. I almost got it. Yes, I got it. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to connect this wire to that one, or this part to the wire. What I like to do, and for that I'm going to zoom in a little bit, I like to take the wire like this and make sure I position it correctly and slide it in a little bit. That's just secure enough, like that. Note that it isn't pushed in properly yet. Hold down on the connector and push it into the body. Now it's secure and it's ready to be installed. Now put it in loosely, don't tighten it up yet, because we're going to install this part at the same time. Probably should have done that first, but we're here right now. Gonna just put the screw part outside on this bar right here. So basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna put it in there and flip it over till it snaps in place. And if this screw is too tight, loosen it up, because otherwise it will break. And you don't want that. Make sure these arrows are lined up when you install it. So either push it down a little bit Now that's installed, no problem at all, and we're down to the last part, which is our programming board. Now we're going to take off the back and make sure that your wires aren't folded up like that. You want to make sure that they're in the gearbox compartment, but we'll do that in a second. I have a trick for that. So we're going to take out these parts and we're going to install our trigger board. And now we have come to the annoying part, which is the part where we need to solve a problem with this quick spring change system. When these parts touch, it creates a short circuit, and you don't want that. Either you can screw off or sand off this plastic bit and put it under the Mosfet and over this hole like that. Fits perfectly, but you might not have these. So take some other plastic things, because most plastics don't conduct electricity, or you can run electrical tape over this part, just like so, and we're going to do that right now. Basically just cover up the metal part, but this does mean you lose your quick spring change function. Well, if you don't want to lose that, then don't do this trick, but I think it's pretty handy. And make sure your screw holes are still reachable. So just put them over here. And make sure that hole is properly covered up. And you can also put them in the back if you have enough space. But that does mean the gearbox will be pretty tight with the in the body. This can be a good thing or a bad thing, because, well, you're eradicating any wobble. So yeah, this is really just a makeshift solution. But basically the point is to cover it up any possible way you can. So yeah, now you're gonna stick through parts. It should fit just right, yeah. And stick through your motor wire and unscrew or screw in the part. Either put it in and screw it back, or when you have broken contacts like me, or wire or screws like me, put in your Mosfet or your programming board and put it in or screw it back. Now, for the body, for the wire that is connected to here, we're going to take out the gearbox a little bit to straighten the wire out. Slide it in, make sure it doesn't hook on the wires. I believe they're in properly. Let's try and see if we get a warning signal. Just like that, your battery connector right there, and a battery sticked inside there. Make it beep, and now we're going to go and calibrate it. Now you see there's a button right here and a trigger right here. Put the trigger into first firing mode and push the programming button twice. So this is the fire mode. This is semi and 3-round burst. When you pull the trigger, you'll switch 3-round burst and full auto. We don't want that, so we're going to pull the trigger a couple times until we find the right function. And I like this one, so we're going to skip to the next function by pressing the programming button. Trigger calibration. So let's pull the trigger in safe, because you need to do this, by the way. Pull the trigger in safe and pull it as hard as you can, then it will flash. Now pull the trigger in safe as hard as you can in this mode, in the white mode, and press the programming button. So pull it as hard as you can, but don't break it. And switch to single fire mode. Pull the trigger and enter. Full auto, pull the trigger and enter. Now it is saved and we're ready to rock this cool as replica. Going to put the battery inside with all the wires. Yeah. Make sure your wires don't get caught up with the cover. So find some way to push the wires in properly. Get them into the battery compartment as much as you can. Yeah, just like that. Okay, let's see. The gearbox sounds still as shit. It's a second-hand replica. This is 3-round burst, so, and then we're going to go to first firing mode. and this is semi. It doesn't shoot in semi, that's cool. This is really cool. So yeah, that works. Very cool. Let's go take it out for shooting real quick. And yeah, that's basically how you install this thing. So we're outside right now. It's pretty windy, but we have our replica here, iPro, and a mag right here filled with BBs. So let's put it to the test. I hope my phone doesn't tip over because of the wind. We're gonna insert the mag and hope this mag works. Put it upside down. That's very cool. So yeah, that's probably it. And well, yeah. And also, if you have seen my last video on the P90, you see that I've changed it a bit. You can see that I've put on a red dot, which I basically sanded down on the front and took the post up on the back. I just screwed down these Picatinny screws a little bit tighter so that these fit the post. So yeah, that's basically how I got this red dot in. Let's take the mag out, make sure it's clear. So, what do I think of the P90 Mosfet? Well, I'm going to incorporate the AOG Mosfet too, because I've done a video on that I play with it, and I'm gonna give it a review at the same time, but an install video will be very soon. So yeah, I say that all the time, but I just can't get myself to do it. But I got myself to do the P90, and I'm going to do the AOG soon too. So yeah, what do I think about them? I absolutely love them. I absolutely do. Only downside to the AOG is that you have to take the gearbox apart, but that is because you have to remove certain parts from the gearbox. So that's unavoidable unless you want to send an entire gearbox with your Perun Mosfet from Perun themselves, but that's just not the solution. I want to thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, give me a like, maybe a comment, maybe a sub, with a notification bell, and I'll see you guys next time. Later guys.